Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation first. Gauri Mahalla Pehla Gur Parsadi Bujh Taun hoye nibera Ghar ghar naam niranjana So Thakur mera बिन गुर शब्द न छुट्टिया देखो विचारा जे लख कर्म कमावही बिन गुर अंधियारा रहाओ अंधे अकली बाहरे क्या तिन स्यों कहिए बिन गुर पंथ न सुझई कित बिद निर्बहिया खोटे को खरा कहें खरे सार न जाने अंधे का नाव पारखू कली काल विडाणे सूते को जागत कहें जागत को सूता जीवत को मुआ कहें मुए नहीं रोता आवत को जाता कहें जाते को आया पर की को अपनी कहे अपनों नहीं पाया मीठे को कौड़ा कहे कौड़े को मीठा मीठे को कौड़ा कहे कड़ुए को मीठा राते की निंदा करे ऐसा कल में डीठा चेरी की सेवा करें ठाकुर नहीं दिसै पोखर नीर विरोलिए माखन नहीं दिसै इस पद जो अर्थाए ले सो गुरु हमारा नानक चीने आपको सो अपर अपारा इस पद जो अर्थाए ले सो गुरु हमारा नानक चीने आपको सो अपर अपारा. The Guru is in fact commenting on the state of affairs around him, which are quite applicable even today. And essentially the point that he is making is that we have all fallen off the path. In other words, we are deluded, and the only way out is the message of the Guru, Gur Sabad. That's the crux of this Shabad, not surprisingly. And I suppose we need this constant repetition. We need this constant reminder so that it just becomes like muscle memory through repetition. We often wonder, why is there so much of repetition in Gurbani? And I leave this for you to think about. Let's say that you want to develop your stroke in tennis, or you want to learn a new game. What do? You practice. You repeat that stroke over and over again until it becomes muscle memory. All learning requires repetition. So we have to repeat this message to ourselves over and over and over again, so that it becomes ingrained in us, so that eventually there is just no doubt. You see, that's the point of repetition, among other reasons. So the Sabad, Gur Parsadi Bujh Taun hoye nibera Ghar ghar naam niranjana so Thakur mera. So the Guru is saying, my Master is present in every heart. Ghar ghar. And it's present as what? As the impeccable, flawless self-knowledge. In other words, the Master is within us but it's not an entity, it's knowledge. Naam. It's present in us as impeccable, flawless knowledge. Gur Parsadi Bujh le, not samajh le, because bujhna is akin to solving a riddle. Samajhna is much more of an intellectual process. And you will notice that Guruji has always used the word bujhna. Hukam rajai chalana, Nanak likhya naal, Nanak haume je bujhe, Nanak hukme je bujhe, ta haume kahe na koi. So he uses the word bujhe instead of samjhe. And because this is intuitive, when you solve a mystery, it is not, and you don't solve it through a cognitive process, and nor can you grasp this entity through an intellectual process. It has to be experienced. It's mysterious. We live in a mystery. So it cannot be fathomed with the intellect. That is why the Guru says, Gur Parsadi Bujh le, ta ho nibera. Nibera, settled. There will be no delusion anymore. Your affairs will be settled. And then he goes on to emphasize in the Rahao, Bin gur sabad na chutiya, dekho vichara. Contemplate and understand this, he says. Even if 100,000 rituals are performed, je lakh karam kamave. Without Gur wisdom, we continue to live in darkness. Jo lakh karam kamave, bin gur andhara. There can be no release without Gur wisdom. But then what can we say about the spiritually blind and those who are lacking in understanding? Andhe akli bahare, bereft of understanding, devoid of knowledge. Kya tinsyon kahiye? What can you say to them? Or how can you say to them? How do you tell them that bin gur panth na sujjai? Without the Gur, you will not understand the path. Kid bid nirbhaiye. How do we exist and coexist with them? How do we explain this? Why? Because here is the state of mind of such a person who is bereft of Gur wisdom. Khote ko khara kahe, khare sar na jane. They mistake the false for the real. The false, khota, counterfeit, is of course a reference to Maya, to the world of space and time in which we find ourselves. We mistake this for the real. We think this is permanent, but it is not. Khote ko khara kahe, khare sar na jane. And we say that because we really have no understanding of the real. We don't understand reality. We just take it as it appears to us through our sensory perception and think it is reality. It is not. Reality is far more complex than that. But the Guru says, the astonishing thing in this age, and he's referring to this age as Kalajug, Kali, Kala, Vidanne. This is astonishing. What is so astonishing? Andhe ka now parkhu. The ignorant are now purveyors of the truth. Or you could read it this way, that the blind is being named as someone who has eyes, parkhu, someone who is in a seer. So, the astonishing thing is that the ignorant, the spiritually ignorant, are now the purveyors of truth. They are the ones who distribute and tell us what the truth is. That's the state of affairs. Sute ko jagat kahe, jagat ko suta. Here's another. Sute ko jagat kahe. Sute literally means asleep. And Gurbani tells us that we are actually asleep, the ones who are in this Maya. But those without Gur wisdom, who are inured to a life of ego haume, are considered to be awake. People like them. While they who are awake to the self, in other words, those who are striving to achieve union with the self or self-knowledge, they are judged to be asleep. This is the way of the world he's describing. And they who are attentive to the self are considered dead because they are not part of the worldly process. They stand apart, and yet they remain impervious to their own spiritual death. So you see, people who are caught up in the flux of things are impervious to their own spiritual death. But they lose no time, no hesitation in declaring others, those especially who are on the path, as being dead. Another verse here emphasizing the same point. Aavad ko jata kahein, jate ko aaya, par ki ko apni kahein, apno nahi paya. So they who walk the path are believed to be misled. Avat ko jata kahein. Avat is the ones who come onto the path, while they who have actually gone astray are considered veracious. And such people exert ownership over what does not belong to them. Par ki ko apni kahein. But again, they don't recognize that they are indeed spiritually dead. Meethe ko kauda kahein. The sweet is called bitter. The sweet, of course, is the sweetness of self-knowledge. They don't like it. The bitter, meaning the sensory pleasures, they like those. The bitter is called sweet. Those who are imbued in the love of the self are slandered. Rate ki ninda kare. Jo rate hoya. Such is what I have seen in this age of Kali Yuga, Guru Nanak says. Then he goes further. He says, the master cannot be reached by serving the maidservant. In other words, you're going to the wrong place. Just like you can't produce butter by churning a pool of water. Pokhar neer viroliye makhan nahi risa. Won't happen. You have to reach out to the master itself. And this is a significant verse here. He says, Is pad jo arthai le, so guru hamara, nanak chine aap ko, so apar apara. Now, I've noticed that the line "so Guru Hamara" has been translated in English versions, generally, at least the ones that I've seen, to read, "Whosoever can make me understand this is my Guru." That obviously is not correct, because for Guru Nanak, it is very clear who the Guru is. It is Shabad Guru. So what the Guru really is saying here is that whoever understands or grasps what is being stated here is pad jo arthaile, who grasps the meaning of what I am saying, will see and perceive the self within, chine aapko, and not only that, but will recognize it as the primordial enlightener in everyone. So Guru Hamara. So that recognition will come for the primordial Guru. And it is the same self, ultimately, that permeates everywhere. Sab ape aap vartada. And it is itself the one that leads us into delusion. Ape paramaya. And by the grace of the Guru Enlightener, we are given discernment, which is intuitive awareness. Gur Parsadi Bujh, again Bujh. And that clears all doubts. Brahm Samaya. On that note, until the next time, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.